Annual Report of the Department of Gravel Classification, Fiscal Year 2024 through 2025. Prepared by the Office of Subtle Variations in Small Stones. Executive Summary. The Department of Gravel Classification, DGC, hereby presents its annual findings, progress, and procedural observations covering the fiscal year 2024 through 2025. The department remains dedicated to the ongoing classification, observation, and documentation of gravel types, textures, and placement within the public domain. This year's focus included efforts to refine the G-Series framework, revalidate gravel calibration tools, and continue public education on mineral-based substrate uniformity. As of Q4, we are pleased to report that our interagency consistency rating has reached 97.6% in size-based identification and 93.4% in tonal variance agreement. Section 1. Overview of gravel types. Gravel remains a foundational, albeit frequently ignored, component of modern infrastructure. The DGC recognizes 5 official categories of gravel, refined over decades of collaborative geological research and iterative subcommittee note-taking. G1. Coarse aggregate gravel. Larger than what most would consider gravel, but not yet rocks. Used sparingly in highly specific structural applications. G2. Standard roadside gravel. Most commonly encountered along the shoulders of highways, behind strip malls, and in municipal parking buffer zones. G3. Decorative garden gravel. Often seen in xeriscaping. This variety includes muted colors, generally from the beige-gray spectrum. G4. Ambiguously sized transitional gravel. Often debated, this middle ground gravel refuses categorization but remains present. G5. Nearly sand gravel. On the edge of granularity, but technically still gravel. Frequently adheres to shoes. A proposed G6 category, philosophical gravel, reserved for gravel too introspective to categorize, was tabled indefinitely, pending further clarity. In this fiscal year, the department also examined over 37 unofficial submissions from the public. These included categories such as nostalgic gravel, vacation gravel, and suspiciously smooth gravel. All were gently declined without discouragement. Section 2. Developments in classification methods. Classification was conducted using the following tools: calibrated calipers, gray plastic, no sharp edges, color swatch rings, beige to barely gray, texture comparison plates, smooth, slightly rough, and emotionally coarse. During Q2, we trialed a new method of vibrational sorting using a low-frequency hum. Results were inconclusive, but calming. 2 interns from the National Institute of Uniform Surface Matter contributed to a 4-week observational study of gravel displacement along gently sloped bike paths. Their final report, titled Gravel Migration, A Passive Journey, is available upon request in 84-page bound format with accompanying grayscale photographs. A pilot program in Section B4 investigated the possibility of classifying gravel by sound. Dropping samples from a standard height onto padded flooring resulted in subtle tonal variations, ranging from a soft plip to an ambiguous plaque. While not currently adopted as a formal method, the practice is being continued recreationally by staff. Section 3. Regional Gravel Trends. This year saw a quiet yet firm shift in gravel distribution across the Central Plains region, with noticeable clusters forming outside drainage culverts and beneath picnic tables. Midwestern zones experienced an influx of G2 due to proactive restocking and spontaneous washouts. South coastal regions saw a mild shortage of G5, believed to be due to increased residential Zen garden installations. Mountainous areas maintained a strong G3 presence, bolstered by community-led rock appreciation events. Notably, the Northern Valley Corridor reported a rise in gravel stacking activity among local children. These spontaneous arrangements, sometimes reaching up to 4 layers, prompted brief internal discussions about intentional gravel sculpture as a possible classification. Ultimately, the stacks were deemed playful but non-taxonomic. Section 4. Public Engagement and Education. Our department hosted a number of informative events this year. A webinar series with titles such as Sorting Stones, an Overview, The Sediment Speaks, and Driveways of Distinction. Print materials including the DGC Quarterly Bulletin, Granular Digest, featured articles such as The History of Gravel Regulation, Part 5 of 9, and When Pebbles Become a Problem. And our outreach programs. A traveling gravel exhibit titled Stones on Tour visited 5 low-traffic libraries. Attendance was consistent with expectations, approximately 2 to 5 visitors per day, weather dependent. Our Gravel Recognition Week, March 4th through the 10th, saw modest turnout and 1 instance of mild public interest. A scheduled gravel poetry reading was canceled due to logistical indifference. The department also launched a passive awareness campaign titled Notice the Ground, featuring posters placed at ankle level in public buildings. Feedback was subtle. Section 5. Budget and Allocation Overview. Section 5. Budget and Allocation Overview. This year's budget was distributed as follows. Tools and measurement devices, used infrequently, cleaned frequently. Office comfort items, including 7 new chairs, all beige, and a thermal carafe. Field journals, with grid-lined paper to ensure orderly note-taking. Staff refreshments, biscotti, unflavored seltzer, and mild tea. Funding requests for a gravel-themed staff retreat were denied. A quiet lunch was held instead. Additionally, a portion of funds were redirected toward the acquisition of a new filing cabinet specifically designed to hold loose classification notes and unopened correspondence. The cabinet has 4 drawers and is labeled Stuff. Section 6. Gravel in the Media. Media mentions of gravel remained flat. One local newspaper featured a brief piece on a gravel path restoration, but misidentified the type as G2 when it was clearly G3. A correction was not pursued. A community access TV program in rural Vermont briefly displayed footage of a gravel pile while discussing unrelated zoning issues. The footage was recorded in 1997. Social media engagement was minimal, with the department's official post featuring a beige square with the caption, "Still here," receiving 2 likes, 1 from one of our internal interns. Section 7. Notable Findings and Anomalies. One field agent in the upper northeast quadrant discovered a spontaneously formed spiral pattern in a field of G4 gravel. The phenomenon lasted 2 days and then disappeared without explanation. No photos were taken, as the agent described the scene as somewhat unimpressive. Another case involved a mislabeled shipment of gravel intended for a school courtyard that contained fragments of oyster shell. The situation was resolved through quiet apology and slow redistribution. A third event involved a bag of gravel that was found to contain exactly one red stone. The stone was set aside for observation and now resides in a small box marked unique. Section 8. Employee Highlights. Patricia M., Senior Stone Sorter, celebrated her 12th year with the department. She has sorted over 12,000 individual specimens, most of which she has no memory of. Edgar J., Office Liaison, achieved a personal best by identifying 14 varieties of beige in one field report. New hires. Thomas V., Assistant to the Deputy of Mineral Storage, who has shown promise in classifying rocks without looking directly at them. Jenna F., Support Technician, responsible for labeling jars. Her handwriting has been described as unobtrusive. Our annual silent acknowledgement ceremony was held in the staff kitchen. Donuts were served. No awards were distributed, per tradition. Selection 9. Section 9. Looking ahead. Goals for next year include investigating the possibility of a digital gravel archive, evaluating gravel in non-horizontal settings, such as sloped driveways and curious playgrounds, continuing to support gravel where it lies. Other proposed initiatives: a monthly newsletter titled Gravel Gazette, standardizing the term pleasantly granular across field documents, adding a 6th swatch to the beige spectrum, working name, faintly toasted oat. We remain committed to our motto, consistency in texture, reliability in rock. Appendix A. Common descriptors of gravel color: fog bone, washed taupe, blanched earth, early evening drift, non-committal dust, afternoon beige, existential pebble. Appendix B. Glossary of frequently used terms: crushitude, the degree to which a gravel particle exhibits signs of pressure-borne fracturing. Pebbliance, the vague feeling that a gravel piece might actually be a pebble. Sedistinction, the subtle but meaningful differences between two otherwise identical stones. Gravelosity, the general vibe a cluster of gravel gives off when viewed under diffuse lighting. Appendix C. Inspirational quotes from the field. Sometimes you don't choose the gravel chooses where it stops. Unknown intern. Each stone tells a story, but most stories are essentially the same. Patricia M. Gravel doesn't complain. Department motto, unofficial. We found gravel in unexpected places. It wasn't exciting, but it was there, and so were we. Q3 Field Report. End of report. Please recycle this document by slowly placing it back on the shelf from which it came.